You're watching 12 WKRC TV, a new generation of news. 12 Newsmakers starts now.
Good morning and welcome to Newsmakers. 2 weeks ago, we focused on the proposal to bring a Nordstrom's department store to downtown Cincinnati. The issue for the city is whether it makes economic sense to invest about $25 million in city funds, plus an additional $23 to $25 million in state and private investment funds. Tom Stapleton, the head of the Eagle Realty Group, a division of Western Southern Insurance, the developer of the downtown site, was a guest on the show. He made the point on Newsmakers that Nordstrom's is the only department store interested in investing in center cities in which it does not already have a presence. Second, that he fully expected Nordstrom's would also develop a suburban location. That is their corporate policy, and he did not see a second store as a threat to the downtown store. Third, that other potential retail stores, including FAO Schwarz, Crate and Barrel, have expressed interest in downtown locations, but only if Nordstrom's is also downtown. And finally, if Nordstrom's opened a suburban store and Cincinnati backed away from a downtown store, what already exists downtown, especially Saks, would be seriously undermined. Last Monday, Nordstrom's and the Rouse Company of Maryland announced what everybody expected. These fields in Warren County will soon become the site of a new development with Nordstrom's as its anchor. Located off I-71 in Deerfield Township, just north of the Beltway at Fields-Erdel Road, this development is simply the latest element in what urban planners would call Cincinnati's first true edge city. To discuss the implications of the Nordstrom's development in Warren County, I am joined this morning by Dan Theno, the Deerfield Township Administrator of Development and Community Relations, and John Harris, the President of the Mason-Landen-Kings Chamber of Commerce. Welcome to Newsmakers.
Good morning, Dan.
Dan, we heard a lot of talk for the past 3 to 4 years about the city chasing Nordstrom's. They were doing this, they were doing that. We talked about it on the show. It was in the newspapers. Did you have to chase Nordstrom's in the same sort of way?
Not to that extent, absolutely not. We had known about a month ago that Nordstrom's indeed was looking at Deerfield Township in Warren County as a possible location, but we were not forewarned that a decision had really been made until Monday when everybody else knew, and of course that was a very exciting time up in Deerfield Township.
So you weren't behind the scenes negotiating with Nordstrom's, or how about with Rouse? Did you know Rouse was looking?
No, we had a conference with a representative from Duke Weeks that owns the property that this facility is going to be going on. We did indicate that we would do what we could to assist them. They did not come out with any specific laundry list. Their major concern was transportation networks, and we said we'd work with the state and the county to solve any potential traffic problems up there.
But you probably have lots of other sites that are also targets for development, right?
Oh yes.
So I mean, the point is, you really weren't. The pattern here is very different than what the city's pattern was. Is what I'm trying to make clear. John, what does this mean for Deerfield Township at this point, for that part of Warren County?
I think what it gives is an opportunity to have its identity. They've been looking for an identity, and I think this is going to be another crown jewel on the retail side with the Harris Broadcast and some of the other companies who have chose to come to Deerfield Township, Warren County, now the commercial retail side. And I think it's going to have a very good effect if the proper amount of the planning, the infrastructures, and all the other things are taken care of. And we've done very well so far, and I think it'll continue.
Well, you know, that's obviously a set of issues that we want to talk about here, and that is the planning and what it's going to take. One of the things that Dan mentioned was traffic, and you know, anybody who's gotten off at Fields-Erdel Road, and I don't live out there, but I go out there for business or whatever on occasion, that's already a very crowded area. Right. What's it going to take in the area of planning, infrastructure development to make this a really usable site, John?
I equate it very similar to when P&G announced they were coming to Deerfield Township in Warren County.
Which is very close to this
very,
other
very
site.
close.
Just for people
just
who aren't
diagonally,
familiar.
just stone's throw away. Mason-Montgomery Road was a 2-lane highway at the time. Fields-Erdel Road was a 4-way stop, no traffic signals. Project 21, a combination of the state with the Ohio Department of Development, that's when we started doing the work on 71, the infrastructure improvements along Mason-Montgomery Road, planning for all the influx of all the 2,000, 3,000 workers of P&G. Could there be gridlock even after Project 21? Was it $21 million enough dollars to put in infrastructure? As we found out, it's worked very well. P&G has not caused a lot of the traffic tie-ups. Matter of fact, the fax group has probably an equal amount of employment as P&G. So I think it is a challenge. It was a challenge back then. It will continue to be a challenge.
So you spent about $21 million at the time for those road improvements?
For P&G.
For P&G. What are you facing with infrastructure and a variety, I guess, a variety of types of infrastructure improvements to accommodate this new development?
Well, there's no question, obviously, that this huge of a development is going to add traffic. That's a given. The good thing is that the Deerfield Township Board of Trustees has been proactive, knowing that this very valuable, very visible piece of property, which is currently a horse pasture, would eventually go into upscale development. The Board of Trustees authorized the building of a major roadway in what is the back of the property called Wilkins Boulevard. The construction on that has just started. In addition,
and what's the price tag on something like that?
That is over $1 million project in the back of
okay,
this
$1 million.
property.
All right.
And then on the drawing boards is the completion of the Wilkins Boulevard, plus the realignment and reconstruction of Irwin Simpson, which is the roadway to the north of the Nordstrom location. We are going to have to do more transportation improvements than that, but God bless the Board of Trustees. They proactively 2 years ago did some things that are going to help the situation.
Other types of infrastructure, sewers, particularly storm sewers in a case like this, when you turn a horse pasture into a parking lot,
right.
Creates all sorts of other changes of demands. All those things in planning, in process, on the drawing boards. Where are you on that?
Well, we're again ahead of the curve in Deerfield Township. That is the Simpson Creek watershed that goes through there and then into Lake Landon. We have developed through some consulting work that's being done right now, ways of mitigating runoff and erosion problems in the Simpson Creek watershed. The consultants will be bringing forth their recommendation to the Deerfield Township Board of Trustees next month. So in fact, we have already gotten on top of the issue. We need to marriage in this new development into that study, but we've already started that process.
John, you know, when you take a look at a new development like this, especially a major new development, this isn't just something that impacts Deerfield Township.
Absolutely not.
This impacts the whole region, clearly, and set this up by talking a little bit about the downtown, but it also impacts that whole northern areas defined by the Beltway, sort of north and south of the Beltway. How do you see Nordstrom's fitting into this larger regional issue?
I think it can only promote the region in a whole. Many of you that's familiar with the Gallus study, Michael Gallus pointed out that there will be clusters that will have their own individual dynamics, and I think this is the case, as to where we will attract a store such as Nordstrom and the others that will follow. It's going to improve those that are there. It's going to bring us stores that our consumers do not have access to right now, and the whole region is going to benefit from this, and that's why, though, it's very important that the store in the core area of downtown happen as well.
What about, and there's been so much discussion of those two things and the two Nordstrom stores. What about, very honestly, the impact on other shopping malls? I think particularly about Forest Fair, I mean, which already is in a weakened condition. Tri-County is a very strong department store, but another sort of, when you bring in Nordstrom's and the development that goes with that, what do you think the impact's going to be?
I don't think it's going to be as large as people think. It will have an impact, don't get me wrong. Each of the existing, the town centers, the Tri-County, have their marketplace, their niche persons that they're going for. I do believe that Nordstrom's going to bring in others from the other and may even help the tri-counties in that by relieving some of the traffic that's going to them, because how many times have somebody in the Christmas time say, gee, I'm not going to go to this center because I can't get there, I can't get around. Well, this is going to be another opportunity to spread it out, and that's another whole thing, sprawl. Is it development, is it sprawl, whatever. That's maybe another
well,
topic, another day.
You brought it up first. How do you distinguish between smart development and sprawl when you're the head of the Chamber of Commerce in Mason-Landen-Kings?
Well, first, I don't think of development as a dirty word or a bad word. I think development, if done properly with the putting the proper things in place, can work very well. What I could say to some of the doubters of, gee, this is going to have green space, all the other things, what have happened if we had a law passed that all of us had to work in downtown Cincinnati? You could not work anywhere else except downtown. What would we have then? All the green space around where we can get in and out. But I think that it's going to give us new opportunities, and we've got an opportunity now to say to the rest of the country and the rest of the world, hey, this is a great place to do business, this is a great place to live, and whether some of the people like it or not, they know of Cincinnati, Ohio. They don't necessarily know of Deerfield Township, Warren County, Springdale, any of those. They know it as Cincinnati. Right. So if we can be healthy to the north and help the core area become revitalized and energy, we're all going to benefit, because the core area, as you know, goes beyond the Ohio River. It doesn't stop there. Northern Kentucky is affected. We are doing a lot of the things right now, Dan. The aquarium has helped us. Kings Island helps the aquarium. There's a lot of synergies involved here that are really helpful, and I think if we look at it as opportunity, not as something, oh, it's bad, that we'll be okay.
Thinking regionally, thinking in Gallus's terms with the new boundary of Cincinnati really being defined sort of by that beltway, and I don't just mean inside the beltway, but that's the new boundary of the functional Cincinnati. And it comes through on Gallus's cover of this report very clearly. On the other side, though, you are in a new area, new in the sense of new to development. Is a township, in this case Deerfield Township, is a government structure like a township as it exists in Ohio, and I know you're relatively new to Ohio, capable of managing this kind of pressure and this kind of development?
I think you'll find in Deerfield Township, a township that by law is defined as an urban township. It has a lot more of the flexibilities to design programs and to attack issues than
you can do your own zoning?
We have our own zoning.
Okay.
We can hire an engineer. We can do a lot of the things that a normal rural township can't do. The people of Deerfield Township have been very supportive of the township form of government because of its closeness to the people. There's no local income tax, and the citizens themselves have greater opportunities to control the local budget and local taxes. So we have good community support. We have the capability through staffing, through contracting, whatever, to handle almost any of the types of service issues that we're going to have. In fact, Deerfield Township is the largest and fastest growing community in Warren County, and we have the same types of broad services that you would find in any city that would be nearby and of a like size to Deerfield Township.
Being a city type rather than a township type, why not incorporate? Why not become a city and gather into your capabilities even more powers and even more control?
There would be no advantage from a service standpoint to become a city. But there are a lot of advantages for the people to remain a township, i.e. Control over local budgets and taxes and no local income tax.
Okay. John, we only have about a minute left, but one of the things I found interesting that you were quoted on in the paper is the issue that you already face a significant crunch on jobs, filling jobs in Deerfield Township. Now you're going to bring a lot more there. One of the things is getting people to the jobs, you know, getting transportation out there. And your organization has sort of been in the forefront of that. Where do you think that has to go in the future?
I think we have to expand upon it. We have to become more creative in the moving of people. We have to convince our area that they don't love their car as much as they think they do, become people movers. But it's a regional issue. I know I keep coming back to the region. The workforce and the moving of people is regional. You talked about light rail, HOV lanes, expansion of the bus service into
And I want to
area.
point out that Deerfield Township has been very assertive about bringing Metro all the way
Very
out.
proactive.
Even when Hamilton County as a county hasn't supported Metro that much, you all have gotten Metro all the way out
To
there.
the tune of $7,000, and I would have to put in that same category the Warren County Commissioners. 3 years ago, they saw an opportunity to help Southern Warren County by committing resources, dollar and people-wise, to allow Metro to come out. And it's been a very good partnership between the Township, the City of Mason, and Warren County. And that's what I hope this does, and my part of the soapbox here, is that I hope that the opportunity of Nordstrom will allow the leadership of Southern Warren County to come together with the leadership from the core to make it work in both areas, because we both need each other.
Okay. Thank you very much, and I'm sure as this develops, there'll be occasion for you to come back. So
We'd love to do it. We'd love to do it.
Okay. Stay tuned. In 1832, Frances Trollope wrote in disgust that she could not cross from one side of Main Street to the other without brushing the snout of a pig that had just moments earlier been feasting on garbage. Well, Mrs. Trollope's worst nightmare is about to descend once again on the streets of Cincinnati. After the break, we'll find out if a few bright colors, a painted hoof or two, and the right accessorizing can turn a sow's ear of the 1830s into a silk purse of tourism in 2000.
And Porktunia celebrates everything that's special about Greater Cincinnati. Our artists highlighted things like Finley Market, the zoo. If you come around here, you have the over-the-Rhine wonderful brownstones.
This summer, pigs will fill the streets of Cincinnati. Why pigs? To find what's left of Cincinnati's tradition as Porkopolis, you have to go to Stale and Slaughterhouse in Coleraine Township. This is the last place in Hamilton County that still slaughters pigs.
We slaughter hogs from September through April, every week. We average between 20 and 30 head a week.
In the 1850s, that would have been nothing. Surrounded by rich farmlands and connected to the world by steamboat, Cincinnati became the nation's largest hog slaughtering and packing center by 1835 and surpassed Belfast, Ireland, to claim world leadership about 1845. In the 1850s, drovers herded over 250,000 pigs through the streets each fall and winter to slaughterhouses along the Deer Creek and on the riverfront. The most sophisticated, Millward and Oldershaw in Covington, was an amazing 3-story disassembly line which turned squealing piggies into hams and pork chops in minutes. The best cuts went to the East Coast and Europe, but fully 1/3 fed the slave plantations on the cotton frontier of the booming South. Besides salted shoulders and smoked hams, byproducts like lard oil fueled the budding soap and candle companies, while bristles went into fancy brushes and plaster walls as binder. About 1862, Chicago surpassed Porkopolis to become the hog butcher of the world, although Cincinnati continued to grow and remained among the top 3 centers until 1890. To give us the inside story on the porker infantry that is about to be unleashed on the streets of Cincinnati, I'm joined by the chief swineherd for this year's Big Pig Gig, Melody Sawyer Richardson. Officially, she's the co-chair of the Big Pig Gig. Whew, Big Pig Gig.
Delighted to be here, Dan.
Melody, just some basics here. How many pigs are we going to encounter as we walk along?
At the moment, 380 have been sold.
And that number keeps changing, right?
It keeps changing daily. We expect a lot more to be sold after people actually see them on the streets, which will begin, of course, Sunday, May 14th. In Chicago, they sold 320 by the end of the day, by the end of their run, October 31st. We have sold 380, which is 60 more than Chicago, and we haven't even started.
So we're out ahead of what Chicago was, and a number of people from Cincinnati, I know, got to Chicago last year, and here's some footage from Chicago. Chicago certainly saw this as a successful effort. What measures success on something like this?
Well, in Chicago, I mean, who measures this and how, I don't know, but what they say is they had 2 million more tourists than they normally would have had in an average summer, and that $200 million was pumped into their economy. Now, they clustered their cows, which they copied from Zurich the year before, they clustered them downtown along Michigan Avenue and then some offshoots. And so people had to come downtown and park their cars and then walk the streets, and then they would get thirsty and they would get hungry and they would buy merchandise. So the merchants had a huge boom in business. That's one of the reasons we wanted to do it here. And our pig pens, as we call them, are clustered in 3 downtown regions, Cincinnati, Newport, and Covington. So one of the great things is this is a regional project, and we hope to pull the region together.
So this is not just going to be along 5th Street in downtown Cincinnati or Vine Street in down. This is going to really be all through the area.
Through the downtown area, from Eggleston to Central,
Okay.
and River's Edge to Central Parkway, with satellites. Satellites at Findlay Market, Upper Main Street, Museum Center, Eaton Park. Eden Park. The puns on this are just terrible.
Yeah.
And then
And endless, by the way.
endless. And then in Covington, you know, along River Walk and Main Strasse and in front of the Convention Center, Newport.
Well, you know, to make this effective for the merchants, for the city, what are you actually doing? What's the organization doing to market this, to let people know around the country that such a thing exists?
Oh my goodness. Well, CBS News, Sunday Morning News, is coming in to tape this this weekend, and they'll be back for the world's largest picnic, sponsored by Hillshire Farm Cons,
And
on
that comes
Saturday, June 10th. Thank you for asking. And that will be the official kickoff. We're going to have about 50 porkers along the route of the Flying Pig Marathon. And after that, we will be moving them to their permanent locations and affixing them to 500-pound bases with rebars in them so people can't take them and so that they're stable.
Well, once we've got 380 piggies on our streets, what will eventually, how long, first off, how long will this run, and what will eventually happen to these guys?
Well, the official kickoff, as you know, is June 10th, and they run till October 31st. Now, when you buy a pig, you own that pig, so you can put it in your lobby or your living room or your corporate front yard, whatever you want to do. But should you not want a pig there for the rest of your life, you can put it up for auction. And our auction will be in Music Hall on November 13th, which is a Monday, and the night before, on the 12th, we're going to have some pigs in the ballroom. We also will have an internet auction, and this again is what Chicago did. So people who...
And how much money did they raise from an auction like that?
Phenomenal, $3.4 million.
Wow.
$1.4 million on the internet and $2 million in the live auction. And we were there. It was something to see.
You know, one question, and we have less than a minute here. One, damage, you're talking about they would be on concrete platforms with rebar. What was it, Chicago's experience, how people treated the cows?
They treated them wonderfully. I think 1 or 2 were stolen, and there was such a huge public outcry in the papers and on the radio that they mysteriously reappeared. There was very little graffiti. What this is very accessible public art. And I don't know if you saw them or not, but there were families walking the town, and that's one reason we want to do this. It puts a smile on people's faces, it's positive PR for our region, but it's very accessible. People get it, it's funny, and they become very fond of these animals. In Chicago's it was cows, here it's pigs. Pigs are intrinsically funnier. And then you got pigs with
Oh, you think so?
I think so. And you got pigs with and without wings. So you've got your sitting pig with his snoot up, you've got a walking pig, and you've got a pirouetting pig. You know, he's up like this. And I mean, that's really funny. Then you put a pair of wings on some of them. It's a great gig.
Well, it's a great gig. This is going to be fun this summer. Good luck with getting it started, and maybe you can come back midsummer and we can assess how this is going.
I'd love to.
Good luck. Have
Thank
fun.
you.
Okay. Thank you for making Newsmakers a part of your Sunday morning. We close with a look at some more of the pigs, including Clear Channel's Media Hog that can put you on TV. Have a good week.